All right, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm answering, it's an Ask Me Anything. So I'm going to answer all the questions to our patrons and channel members and the Sailing Doodles Navy. I'll dive right in real quick and I'll explain how that works in a minute, but I'll get to the first section right now. Is kind of the personal questions, behind the scenes type stuff. So the first question is from Eric Powelton from Podia. You can go to sailingdoodles.podia.com and join our Sailing Doodles Navy, and you can ask a question on the next one. He says, what happened with Lauren? She seemed cool and new boats. Was there a falling out? Yeah, I think I've talked about it before. Her and Amanda, at first they get along like great. I was like, wow, these guys are going to be best friends. It's awesome. But then as time went by, they just kind of got along less and less. And, it's when your girlfriend's not getting along with somebody, you have to take her side, really. It's not like I took sides. I just, you know, we all went our separate ways. And obviously I stayed with Amanda. Um, so yeah, I mean, I have invited since Amanda and I split up 3 months ago. I have invited her back. I've texted her a couple times and she never responded. But I know she's pretty busy with her own channel. I think she's doing stuff like she's riding her motorcycle across the country or something. So anyway, I would welcome her back if she wanted to come back. But I don't know. Maybe I pissed her off or something and she doesn't want to. So I don't know what the deal is there. All right. So the next question from Glenn Goodall on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/sailingdoodles, you can become a Patreon supporter. And then the next one of these, I will answer your questions. So, do you get lonely without a partner like Stephanie or Amanda? Do you still talk to them? I don't talk to Stephanie. Amanda and I kind of keep in touch some. Do I get lonely? I mean, that's never. I'm almost never actually alone. I mean, I was alone in Staniel Key last month, week, whatever it was, for maybe a week. But honestly, especially in a place like Staniel Key, there's enough people that are fans of the show and that I know there that, it's kind of, I had a nice social life and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's better to cruise with somebody than without. A lot of people, especially guys, dream about sailing around the world, cruising and all that. And then, they don't have a girlfriend or whatever. And they're hoping maybe, oh yeah, I'll go find one in the Caribbean or whatever. And it's not really how it works. All right. So from William Resch on Patreon, what was the real spark that made you decide to go cruising? Was it just the health scare or more? Uh, you know, I I don't remember how I first came across it. I remember in high school reading a book. I don't even couldn't even tell you what the name of the book is, about a guy that went sailing and cruising around the world. And so then, in college, I think I read a couple more books about it. And then I graduated college. September 11th happened, so there weren't any aviation jobs. I actually was in the process of selling everything I own. I think I still had to sell my car. I had sold a lot of everything else. And I thought I had enough money. I was going to buy like a $10,000 boat, like a total piece of crap. And then just go cruise on it. I was going to go cruise down to the Bahamas or Caribbean or U.S. Virgin Islands or something like that. And then, get a bartending job or something so I could live on the boat down there. Ended up, I got a job offer I couldn't refuse, shortly thereafter. And so then I moved to California and flew airplanes for a while and all that. But yeah, so I always dreamed about doing it. And then, when I lost my flight medical and couldn't fly anymore, I said, screw it, let's go. Because I always dreamed about retiring early. But I was always scared maybe I wouldn't retire early because, you never know if you're going to squirrel enough away where you can retire at age 55 or 60. You know what I mean? And then by the time you can retire, maybe, I know a lot of 65, 67-year-olds that can, run a marathon, but I know some that can't get out of bed. You know what I mean? So you never know how you're going to be at that age. So I was like, let's just do it now. All right. So from Schmoops, that would be Jen and Eric, Smoops Adventures on Patreon. If YouTube disappeared tomorrow and no other platform was an option, what would you do instead? Oh man, that's a tough one. Like if I couldn't do YouTube anymore, um, I might just charter. You know what I mean? If I like, yeah, you know what? I've seen several people doing this. I know a guy. I met a guy in St. Martin that he had a pretty nice CNB 60. It's a nice sailboat. It's a $1 million sailboat, or close to it. And what he did, he was from Holland, I believe, or something like that. And so I'm not sure how he found his crew necessarily, but his crew would pay a couple $1,000s a month, and he had 4 or 5 crew members. So they would pay to, cruise around, and they would just cruise around the world. And he had, they would stay for a month or two or whatever, and then, be replaced by somebody else. And so, he was making, I think he had like 5 crews, so he was making like 10 grand a month. just hosting people on his boat. Now, I mean, that kind of sucks. You have always people on your boat, but you know, at least you have a good social life and stuff like that. So I might do something like that, or I'm sure I have enough experience now. I could get a job. You know, I would actually have to go get my Coast Guard license and all that, but I have enough experience. I could get a job on a boat. You know, I mean, I don't know. I've never been a professional captain, but maybe I could. I probably could. I'm sure I could find a job as a captain on a, you know, 80 to 90 foot, 100-foot yacht, something like that, pretty easy. I think I'd probably do something like that. So, last question from this first section, from Chris on Patreon. Do you own a car, or is it just the RV and the motorcycle now? Yeah, I don't own a car. I own the motor. Yeah, I have two motorcycles. I have a KLR 650, and I have the Ural with a sidecar, and then I have the trailer I keep them in, and then I have a Class A diesel RV. And that's all. And then this boat. So that's all I own. I have a couple storage units, one in Palm Beach and one in Dallas. Palm Beach has all my boat stuff, and then you know, Dallas has a lot of personal stuff, like, you know, whatever extra stuff. So no, don't know anything else. All right, before I move on to the next section, which is boat maintenance, upgrades, and troubleshooting, we explain how all this works. So if you were to join our Patreon, or the Sailing Doodles Navy on Podia, or become a channel member, you get early access to the videos, and you get access to the raw footage of the videos, plus a weekly patron-only update. I actually need to record one of those today, where I kind of give you behind the scenes what's going on. Like we've got a new crew on here right now, so I think I've done something with her on the videos there. So they get behind the scenes stuff. Plus, you know, every other week or so, I do one of these Ask Me Anything podcasts, and I let you ask anything you want, and I answer the question to the best of my ability. So, and it's a good way to help support the channel. So I really appreciate it. So, Michael Dumont from Patreon, with all the recent repairs, do you worry about reducing the resale value of the boat? Not really. This boat, I'm pretty sure, is done depreciating, because I think if anything, it'll be appreciating. Not, it'll probably maybe keep up with inflation or something like that. But you know, it's kind of like an airplane, or you know, like at a certain time, like if you buy a brand new Cessna, it's going to depreciate till it reaches its depreciation limit, and then it will appreciate, and become a little bit more value. It's not going to become like, for instance, like a 1967 Bonanza is worth 200 grand these days, something like that, for a nice one. Originally, it probably sold for 50 grand in 1967. So it's appreciating with inflation and all that. So I think this boat is probably fully depreciated, and if anything, it is appreciating, because you know, I actually paid 10-20% more for this boat than when I originally bought it in 2019. And so I think, you know, I think it'll continue to appreciate and go up with inflation. And then, you know, I'm hoping I don't have to resell this boat. I'm hoping that I get to keep the boat, and insurance. When insurance pays out, I think I'll have enough that I can keep the boat. So that's my plan. Okay, the next question, very similar. Is Naughty Dog still worth keeping with all the issues, or is it time for a major rewiring, refit, or let her go? That's from Stanley on Patreon. It's a boat. It's always little things. No, I mean, the boat is definitely worth keeping. It's one of those things. It's an aging boat. You need to know how to do basic maintenance and basic repairs on your boat. But the bones of the boat are good. The engine and the generator are good. The batteries are all new. The electrical system is mostly new. It's a solid boat. It's just the little things. I mean, it's always some little wiring crap or plumbing crap you got to fix. You know, I guess if you wanted to totally overhaul it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely worth keeping. So, all right. Could you, and this is from Doug on Podia, could you install a steer-by-wire system, instead of replacing aging hydraulic hoses and seals? I mean, technically you could, I guess. I don't think I think there's a reason they did hydraulics. There's two benefits in my mind on hydraulics instead of wire. So normally you can steer a system with hydraulic pressure or cabling that runs down through pulleys and, you know, bell cranks or something like that. So with a hydraulic system, it's good because the when you have the autopilot engaged, the wheel doesn't turn. So the helm up there, the wheel doesn't turn with the autopilot. It just sits there, which is nice when you're underway because you can put your feet up, and the wheel is not always turning left and right and whacking you in the knee or whatever. Whereas it's steer by wiring, if you have the autopilot engaged, that's always going to be up there moving around, turning with the autopilot. Two, this is a really big rudder, and I don't know that cable steering would be. It would be really hard to turn cable steering in certain conditions. So I think, I think, and then you're going to have a hydraulic ram anyway because the autopilot works on hydraulics. It's just got a hydraulic ram, and so basically the helm, the wheel up there, is connected to those hydraulic rams. So you're going to have hydraulics anyway. It's not worth changing out to mechanical linkage. Um, so from Gary from Podia, how often do you clean your hull? How long does it take? Well, I haven't had to clean it at all this season because I just had the hull painted with bottom paint from Total Boat. There is a link in the description. You get 5% off. I use the 2-year stuff, and it's great. I mean, I'm not seeing any growth, a little bit in places, but it's great. I haven't had to clean it at all. After it's a 2-year coat, it's good for 2 years. Maybe after a year you need to clean the boat every now and again, or if you sit somewhere in a marina for a long time, you might need to clean it more often. But we've been out on the hook and sailing and all that, so haven't had to mess with it. All right, from Stefan on Patreon. Is Entropy winning? Nauti Dogs keeps breaking down. It feels like the same issues keep coming back. No, I mean, it is the same issues, and it's one of those things that when you're out cruising, it's hard to fix right. You can put a temporary patch on it, but getting it fixed right requires the parts and the time and all that. So, if when I get back to the States, if I have time, I might spend a little time going through a lot of the systems and fixing a lot of things. But no, I mean, like I said, it's just an aging boat. Whoever has this boat is going to need to know basic maintenance and repairs. And it's generally, I mean, if I spend a month going through this boat, like just working on it, like in a yard somewhere in the States, I could probably get it where it would be pretty good. Would you consider, this is from Stanley, would you consider showing electrical troubleshooting visually, like drawing diagrams? Yeah, I might work on something like that next time it happens. Next time I have an electrical problem, I might work on that. All right, so the next section, future plans and travel routes. Let me make sure, okay. I am just making sure everything's still copacetic on the recording there, because I'm kind of, it's nice if you have a producer doing all this for you, but I'm just making sure the audio still works. Because one time, oh man, it was so annoying. Like I accidentally touched the microphone, and so if I just tap this, I just tap it like that accidentally, and it mutes the microphone. So I did that about 10 minutes in and didn't notice it, and I had another 30 minutes of the podcast that I recorded, and there's no audio, so I had to go back and record the whole thing again. Kind of sucked. All right. So, future plans and travel routes. This is from Ian Walker on Patreon. Any sailing plans for the Mediterranean? Yeah, I think. So I'm thinking. I think right now. So with the new catamaran, I'm gonna pick it up in Thailand. Probably go over there for a month when it's ready. Hopefully this fall or early winter. And I will do the shakedown cruise. So the problem is I got these puppies right here. So this one is Merlin. They've been really good lately. I've been using this e-collar on them, and they've been really well behaved. I just hit the vibrate thing when they're doing something I don't want to do, and they stop and they come, and it's really great. But so the problem is getting the dogs over to Thailand would be very difficult. I'm not saying it's undoable, but it would be difficult. So, but what I'm planning to do is go over to Thailand. So I'll have to board them for a month. I have a friend that might keep them for a month. Go over to Thailand, do the shakedown cruise on it, and sail the boat from Thailand to Singapore, and then have the boat shipped. Thankfully, there is a peace deal with the Houthis I heard of. Maybe they're going to stop firing at boats, which will be nice. So then I'll have the boat shipped from Singapore to the Mediterranean. So they go across the Indian Ocean through the Suez, drop it off in Cyprus. There you go. It's a lot easier to get the dogs to the Med because I can fly on an American airline to basically anywhere in the Med. And then these guys can go in the cabin on that. Some foreign airlines are a little bit sketchier about it, but I can get to Europe with these guys relatively easy. Getting to Asia would be a lot harder. Um, Not saying it's not doable, but it's a lot harder. So then I would have the boat shipped to the Med early spring, and maybe April or something like that, and then sail around the Med for all season. And then I haven't really decided yet at that point, maybe in November, if I'm over the Med, like I've done it and there's nowhere else I need to see, which I kind of doubt, I'll sail across the Atlantic in next November and go to the Caribbean and then continue on from there. But more likely, I would find a place to keep the boat for the winter in the Med, and then I could come back over here and get on this boat in the winter and cruise wherever. And then in the spring, April, May, whatever, head back over to the Med, do another season through the Med, and then cross the Atlantic that November and continue on. So yeah, I really love the Med. That's some of my favorite sailing. I think I've said that many times. Paul Dunn from Patreon. Why keep Nauti Dogs in the Chesapeake? Have you thought about Maine, Nova Scotia instead of Burning Man? Yeah. So I did Chesapeake just for now. I do plan to go a little more north. Maybe this summer on a trip. Maybe not all the way up to Maine or Nova Scotia, but up to Long Island Sound and maybe up to like Martha's Vineyard and Newport and Block Island and stuff. That'd probably be as far north as I go. And yeah, I might keep the boat up there in the wintertime, have it hauled out, and that, which would be a kind of a cool spot to do. So I might do that, and instead of Burning Man, I am going to go to Burning Man this year, but this will be my last year that I go every year. It's not that I don't enjoy it there. It's just that Burning Man it takes 3 weeks of my life, and I don't have time for that because I have a lot of other things I want to do. Because you got to be there 10 days, then you got like basically 5 days of travel on either side of that, so you're there 20 days, 3 weeks, and it's just and it costs a lot of money. I mean, I spend at least $5,000 a year going there. I mean, by the time you add fuel and camp dues and tickets and all that. And the reason I'm going this year is that, I mean, I think it'll continue, but like it's possible Burning Man folds, I think, in the next few years because they didn't have Burning Man in 2020. They didn't have Burning Man in 2021. You still had all the overhead and all that stuff. They lost money, a lot of money on both of those years. Um, Last year they didn't sell out. They undersold by like 5 or 10,000 tickets. And because it was $1,500 for 2 tickets and a vehicle pass. Now it's $1,700 for 2 tickets and a vehicle pass. So what they did this year, I mean, it's supply and demand. I don't think they understand that. Is so they didn't sell out last year. So what they do, they raised ticket prices by at least $100 per ticket, and to make up for that. Well, okay, I think maybe even less people are going to go this year. And the newer it's not getting many young people because they can't afford it. So the younger people aren't going, and older people are kind of aging out of it. And I think I don't know. I don't know if it'll continue. If they lost money last year, they've lost money. They've lost money 3 of the last 5 years. If they lose money again this year, who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. All right. From Tony on Podia. Given Naughty Dog's deep draft and full keel, why not base her in the Med where harbors are deeper and Med mooring works? Yeah. I mean, maybe that's a possibility. If something happens where I don't take the new cat to the Med, maybe I do take this boat to the Med. That'd be fun. Keep it there and just do that in the summer and sail on the cat in the winters. I mean, it's a possibility. I'll think about it. I don't know. That's not a bad idea, and it makes it much easier to med more with a monohull than it is a catamaran. Cheaper too. All right, from Tomcat on Podia. What's the status of Maverick's insurance claim? Is Maverick 2 still on schedule for the end of 2025? As far as I know, it is on schedule. So yeah, I finally got an update from the insurance company. We finally got in touch with a VP at, I'm not going to say the insurance company yet. It is very well renowned and they're known for paying. So I don't think they're going to try to screw me. I would be very happy to promote them because I think they're handling it very well. I think there was just a miscommunication here. So we got a hold of one of the VPs that kind of in charge of our case. And he said, oh, we're just waiting on the surveyor to send in all his, documents and paperwork, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no, he sent all that in a month ago. So they sent all that stuff was done a month ago. And so he said, oh, well, let me look into it. And that was on Monday. So by next Monday, we'll follow up again and say, hey, come on, it's been 6 months. I need to get paid here. So, all right, next section, content creation and monetization. Let me make sure we're good here. Okay, yeah. Would you consider, this is from AJ on Podium, would you consider permanently mounting cameras on Naughty Dogs for better angles and hands-free content? Yeah, I was planning to do that on the catamaran. I was going to put, a network system in there to have, just cameras that I could have continuously running, and then I could pull the data if something happens. I have doing that. On this boat, I mean, I'm not going to really invest a whole lot of money in this boat and to do all that kind of thing, because I mean, it's going to be a part-time boat. And so maybe eventually, maybe eventually, if AI gets better at like 360 stuff, and I could just mount some 360 cameras just rolling on a loop. And then, because I love the 360 cameras, it makes things really easy to capture what's going on and you get some cool shots with it, but it's a pain to edit because I got to edit it twice. So I have to take the 360 footage, go into the 360 editor, edit that footage to make it viewable on a flat screen, and then I throw that into my Premiere Pro, and then I have to edit it again into the vlog. So it's a great tool, but it's not there yet. But if I had an AI, which I'm sure will happen pretty soon, I mean, an AI editor that could do it all and be like, hey, follow the interesting stuff on the video and do that. So maybe I'll do that. All right, from Grayco on YouTube member. You can also become a YouTube member and get your questions asked. So where the subscribe button is, so this is on my podcast. Go to my Sailing Doodles channel and become a member of that channel. All right, which income stream gives you the most return? Would that be YouTube members, Patreon, or something else? I guess technically Patreon and Podia and channel memberships, I kind of lump all those into the same thing. Because they're all basically the same. That's probably 60% of my income, and then the other 40% would be on YouTube, like YouTube ads and stuff. And then I guess maybe another, I know that's more than 100%, but maybe like 5 or 10% would be direct ads, something like that, like Babbel's a sponsor, stuff like that. Okay, from Jason Arnold on Patreon. Would you discuss the recent Patreon tier changes and how Patreon compares to Podium? Okay, so in order to so there's been a few changes with Apple. They lost a court case, but it still doesn't affect everything. So what Apple was doing is that, so say you have the Patreon app on your phone. If you subscribe to my Patreon on the app, the only way to do that was in the App Store. You had to use the Apple App Store Pay, right? And then Apple takes 30%. And then Patreon takes 10%. So I'm not getting 40% of that. But what they recently changed, Apple lost the court case, is that because they weren't allowing developers to put another way to pay, to send an external link so they can pay, outside of the Apple system. They said, no, you have to pay with the Apple system. They lost that court case in America. You still, if you're in Europe, they still have that right to make you pay 30%. So there's that. So now Patreon can put a link to do external payments where I don't have to pay that extra 30%. But in order to comply with the App Store billing style or whatever, they're not allowing them to do per creation. It has to be per month. So what Patreon did is they just take whatever you were averaging paying per month, because I would do 8 or 9 videos per month. That's what it's going to bill you. I mean, you can still put a cap on there. If you put on, you can do that on Patreon. You go and say, I want to pay no more than $10 a month. It'll honor that. So so whatever you were paying before, you should be paying about the same as what you were paying before. It might be slightly different by a few pennies here or there, but it should be pretty close to the same. And so that's why I was required to do that. And that's why I created I didn't create the platform. I went over to Podia because I can do a little bit more there. I can sell, my sailing course and my seminars and things like that. My maintenance courses, I can sell them on Podia a little bit easier than on Patreon. And Podia is just a flat fee. I pay like $900 a year and then I pay 3%, for the processing or credit cards. But it's just it's a better deal for me. I will say I think the user interface is not quite as good as Patreon. I wish they would do a few things different, but it works. So, but whatever you're comfortable with, if you want to support the channel, you want to do it on Patreon, please, thank you. If you want to do it on Sailing Doodles, the channel memberships, please and thank you. Same with the Sailing Doodles Navy over on Podia. All right, next section, crew and people on board. How long is Mackenzie staying on board? Is her sister coming again? Will you need a new crew member soon? And that's from Stanley. So Mackenzie went home for a month. She's going to be back on the 2nd with her sister. So her and her sister are going to come, and they're going to stay all of June until we get the boat back to the U.S., and I don't really know where we're taking it yet. So, yeah, she went home for a bit. She's coming back. And will I need a new crew member soon? Well, I mean, I'm sure Mackenzie will be around as long, whatever. I'm sure she's happy to be around. But I mean, I would like to not just be a crew member. I'd like to find a date. You know what I mean? So I'd like to find somebody to date, and then maybe we could deal with it. I mean, I like having 3 people on board. So I think it's better for the vlog. It's easier to film, and it's more interesting. So yeah. But I would prefer to find somebody to date rather than just a crew member. Another question from Stanley. How many crew do you need to run the new catamaran later this year? Just 1 or more? Yeah, I mean, I can run it with 2. Like I said, though, it's better to have 3 because, okay, say we're picking up a mooring. Well, you got 1 person with the pole picking up the mooring. You got me driving the boat. And if there's just 2 of us, it's hard to film all that. If we got 3 people, you got somebody with a camera running around filming all that too. So it's just easier. So I like to have 3. Yeah. Maybe I can find 2 girls that want to date me. I mean, I wouldn't say no. Carl from Patreon. Can someone like me, older but certified and experienced, join you for a short stint in the Bahamas? Yeah, I mean, not on this boat. It's just too small. I mean, it's a big boat, but it's only a 2-bedroom. So it's not really doable. Maybe on the Cat, we'll do some stuff like that. We'll invite patrons to come out. I've done it before. We invited patrons to sail with us in like flotillas and stuff when we get charter cats, and I've done that. And so maybe on another flotilla we'll do that too. I haven't really scheduled one yet. Maybe if I have time, we can schedule one for the summer. But we'll see. So not on this boat. It just doesn't have the cabins. On the Cat, yeah, I think we can probably work something out. So, and we'll obviously, we've done it before in the past. We just do random drawings from our patrons and channel members and all that. So if you'd like to be what's the word? Eligible for that, please check out one of those platforms. All right. The next section, dogs and life aboard, from Maxime on Podia. Will your dogs always have separation anxiety, or is that something that fades with age? Can it be fixed permanently? I really don't know. Merlin is the best behaved dog I have ever had. Honestly, he is so well behaved. He doesn't run off. He doesn't have anxiety. He doesn't get upset and want to go, play with other dogs too much. He wants to hang out with me, and he's well behaved. Cougar, on the other hand, has this separation anxiety and is a bit of a madman. I don't know where he is. Can you hear me talking about him? Yeah, he's over there. He's a bit of a madman, but I have been using these e-collars, like I said earlier in the podcast, and they've been working really well. Like I don't even like when I take them out for a walk, I don't even put them on a leash anymore. If they get too far away from me, I call them. If they don't call them, I buzz them just to vibrate, and they come back. So it just vibrates their neck. And so basically it's like so especially with Cougar, he would get so focused on whatever lizard he found or something that he's just, I'm calling him, he doesn't listen. He's just, I got this lizard, I got to find it. That's all he just one track mind. So you buzz him with the vibrate, and it kind of breaks him up like, oh, what? Oh, I got to come over here. Okay, fine. If he still doesn't answer on that, then I give him a little tap with the shocker, and then he sometimes, but I've seen him, like, I try to keep the pretty low, and because it's got a dial I can turn up from like a 1 to 150, and it's like, I don't know why it goes to 11 like that. It seems like they just put the dial 1 to 100, but it goes to like 1 to 130 or something like that. I'm like, that's like taking it to 11. Why not just make 10 a higher? Anyway, whatever. So if I keep it low, most of the time, and then he still doesn't, then I'll turn it up a little. And like I've seen him, he's been so focused on whatever lizard he's chasing that like I've seen him flinch from the shock and still not. Like he's like, and or he doesn't even do that. He just flinches and then keeps on going. And I'm like, finally he stops, turns around. But I mean, some people don't like that stuff, but honestly, it works really well. And most of the time, it's just the buzzer. All right, the last section, career. I feel like my lips are chapped here. I need to like start wearing some chapstick with sunscreen in it. Been getting a lot of sun lately. I don't know, like I'm not as red as this camera makes me look. I don't know why it seems to make me look fairly red, but anyway. So the last section, career certification and logistics. How does someone get hired as crew on sailboats? What certifications help with that? That's from Daryl on Podia. Well, you definitely need your STCW. That's your safety training water. I don't even know what it stands for. STCW. It's like a week or a weekend and it costs a couple $1,000. You know, there's a million places in Florida that do it. That's what you need as a bare minimum to be a crew member. If you want to be, and that's just for like a deckhand or a stewardess or something. If you want to be like a captain and hold watch and do all that, you need your Coast Guard certifications. You can get 25 or 50 ton relatively easy. You do need 300 days on the water. So you need to be able to prove that. But I think you don't even, it's pretty easy to do. I think you can just write, like, you don't have to, I don't think you have to have like an actual logbook for it. There's ways you can look it up. I don't remember exactly, but you need 300 days on the water. A day on the water counts as 4 hours on a boat on the water. And that counts on any boat. Are you on a ski boat out skiing for the day? That's a day. Did you spend a summers, bouncing around on a sailboat on the lake? Yeah. So that counts. I mean, I'm on my boat right now. That counts. So, it's pretty easy to do. And it counts back. You can go back to like age 14 or 15 is when you can start counting that time. So, if you're 25 or 30 and you've been even remotely a regular boater, you've been out fishing on your bass boat, that counts. And then, but then, to qualify for like the 100 ton, 200 ton, then you need boats of several different sizes, right? So if you, I'm not a Coast Guard certification person, so I don't know this is 100% accurate. But like, if you want to qualify for your 200 ton, then you need to be a crew member on a 200 ton boat for however many days, or it's something like that. So there's that. Let's see here. And what certifications help with that? U.S. Coast Guard, if you want to be crew, STCW, sorry, if you want to be like a captain, STCW, if you just want to work on a boat. And then wherever the boat has its jurisdiction, if the boat is certified in the BVI, well, then you need a captain certificate that they recognize. So, and then you can do stuff like, I've got IYT, International Yacht Training, and then there's RYA, Royal Yacht Association, and then there's ASA, American Sailing Association. You can get certified for that. Those are not commercially rated, but they're good enough if you want to charter a boat. All right, Adam from Patreon. 1 second. Given your insurance history, do you face issues getting future coverage? So, insurance has been hard to get in general lately, because insurance companies many of them are, a lot of insurance companies won't cover boats over 25 years old, and this one's 30 something years old. And obviously, if you have a claim, you have a hard time getting insurance. I do have a claim, but I was not on the boat and I was not in charge of the boat. I was not in control of the boat during the claim. So I was able to explain that to the insurance company that I had nothing to do with the accident. It was the delivery crew. I had nothing to do with it and whatever. So I was able to get insurance because I was not operating the boat. Now, if I had wrecked the boat, yeah, it'd be really hard to get insurance. And then a lot of insurance companies are, like just not covering. A lot of European-based insurance companies will just not either cover an American boat or an American owner. So, like when I bought that, I bought the Jeanneau in Greece. I registered it in Poland. That's fine, but the fact that me as the captain on the boat was an American and that my LLC that owned the boat was American, I mean, no insurance companies from Europe would really handle me. I finally found one out of England that would cover me. And that's just for, I want to say it's for litigation purposes. Like Americans are very litigious and we sue a lot. And, I think those insurance companies just don't want, and then they don't want to be under American jurisdiction. So I think that's the hard um, that's the hard issue there. So yeah, we were having a hard time getting insurance in general for Maverick, the catamaran over there, because there was only a few companies that would cover an American-owned boat in Europe, Asia rather, and so it was hard to do. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it again. I mean, I would definitely do this insurance company. I'm a little annoyed they're so slow in this process, but as long as they pay out, if they would allow me to get another policy through them, I would. So, all right, last question from Stanley. What does it really cost to run Sailing Doodles monthly? A lot, many thousands. Man. I mean, a lot. It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be $8,000-$10,000, something like that. Because I got to, like, pay everybody all the expenses, and then the boat maintenance, the fuel, crew, all that stuff. It gets expensive. So, yeah, it's not cheap to do. Now, if I wasn't filming anything and I was living on the boat full time, and I didn't have all these, we got to go do all this stuff to film and all that. That's expensive. And I was trying to be more cheaply. I could do it for. I mean, you can live on a boat down here in the Bahamas for $1,500 a month. That's not going out to dinner. That's whatever. So I would say I could do this for $4,000 or $5,000 a month if I wasn't having to film and do all that stuff. And that would be how I would want to live. Because I like to go out to eat and do things. I wouldn't want to just be eating ramen and whatever every day for $1,500 a month. I'd want to do the $4,000 or $5,000 a month where I can go out and have fun, get the occasional marina for a night or two, things like that. So it's expensive to run. People don't quite understand that sometimes, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, it's a lot of editing. I've got a podcast where I try to do 2 episodes a week. I have my main vlog where I try to do 2 episodes a week. I have all this other stuff, so it keeps me busy. And then I got flying doodles and all that. So if you'd like to help out, you can also get merch. Go to sailingdoodles.com. We got hats and shirts and all that kind of stuff there. And there's a merch tab. You can click it. And then, but yeah. But thank you guys for all your questions. If you'd like your question answered in the next one, please become a patron or a Sailing Doodles Navy member, or join the YouTube memberships, and I'll answer your questions on the next one. Please make sure you're subscribed to this channel. And you can also get this wherever you get your audio programming. So if you get an audio podcast through Apple or Spotify or whatever, you want to listen to this, you can get it there too. All right, guys, thanks so much, and I'll catch you on the next one.